guys, welcome to tonight's live. All right, I am interviewing one of my high school teachers tonight, Angie Taylor. So Angie, I am live. I'm going to invite you. So Mrs. Angie, and we might have to change the camera a little bit. If you're just joining on YouTube, yay, there you are. Okay. I can. I hope there's not an echo. Hang on 1 second. Let me do like this. Can you hear me? Okay, is there an echo for you? How does the sound? Hi, Joey. Yeah, so I have my computer muted and my phone on, so I can hear you on my phone. I can't hear you on my computer. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, can you do us a favor? And if you can hear us okay, can you just give us some feedback? If you are on Instagram, give us some feedback. If you guys can hear us okay. We've got people coming in on all 3 platforms. All right, I think we're good. I'm so excited to have you here, Angie. Oh my goodness. So you guys, Angie, and you know what? Let me show you in the stream. Let me pull you in here. Here comes Angie on YouTube and Facebook. There's Angie.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out my tech here.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to do a quick sound check. It looks like Katie says they can hear us. Yep, we're loud and clear. Yes. Joey, if you're on, hi. Joey Udovich, you'rethebomb.com. She's on Instagram. If you guys don't follow Joey, go follow Joey. She's one of my dearest friends on Teachers Pay Teachers. She said hi in the chat. Okay, it looks like we're live. We're good to go. Sometimes tech is our friend, and tonight it is our friend.
Okay. I feel like I need to see your head more, Elizabeth.
On Instagram. Do I need to go lower?
Yep.
Lower.
There you go.
Is that better?
What? Yes.
Is that better? Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. Welcome to tonight's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook Live. We are live on all 3 platforms. I am so excited to be live with you tonight because I have a special guest. Angie Taylor was my high school teacher when I was junior, senior in high school. We go way back. And then when I graduated and came back, and then I ended up teaching Lauren, I think, for a year, your daughter. And then Angie is now my school administrator and has done some pretty incredible things. She is the co-founder of Valor Global Foundation, which is the school that I now work for, teach 4th grade ELA. And the Valor Global Foundation, you guys have heard me talk about it in the past, but it is a missions-based organization. It is wonderful. You guys can go check them out online, valoronline.org. They have 3 brick and mortar campuses. There's 2 international campuses, one in the Philippines, one in Korea, and then they have a US-based campus in Portland. And the foundation sponsors kids in education in Guatemala. Is this right? Kenya, Haiti, the Philippines. It's a missions-based school, so it is like a school after my own heart. And Angie has an incredible origin story, and I want you to share it because I think it's very inspirational and it really ties into the heart of educators. And so, Angie, I would love for you to go ahead and take it away. If you have questions too, feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll kind of be monitoring that. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's so fun to be on here. What a full circle moment we have. We were just reminiscing back in the day doing a cross-country event when I was your coach. And just before I begin, when I was a coach and Elizabeth was on and I use cross-country coach loosely. It meant I enjoyed running, but and it's like you'll do. And I can remember taking Elizabeth, who actually is quite athletic, in the car on my way to her first cross country meet. It was like districts or something. Somehow we ended up in districts in California. And on the way, like every hill we were passing, you would point to it and say, is the hill going to be that big?
Yeah. And you're like, no, it's bigger. It's bigger. I'm like, surely not. And then we got to the hill where there was like little tiny ant-like people. And I think I made some kind of like throw off, like, oh, what if it was that one? And you remember what you said? You're like, it is. And that's
That is it. And truth be told now, at the time, I'm like, you got this. You've trained for this. And I'm like, oh, dear God, we're all going to die. What have we done?
We don't know what we're doing.
No clue. But you finished. And sometimes that's the biggest thing you could do is just finish the race.
Yes, totally. I mean, the hill was one of those hills where like you had to like at parts of it like claw up it, which is so true. Like parts of the year, is even as a teacher, it's like we're gonna make it to Christmas break, or we're gonna make it to the end of summer here. So it's so funny.
Yeah, a little reminiscent of how life works, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness, that's such a funny story. That is so funny. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead and share, because your origin story about Valor. I remember before I was hired on as a teacher at Valor and was talking to you and was kind of just questioning and inquiring about what is Valor Global. And when you were sharing the origin story, it like literally still gives me chills to this day. The story about you being, well, I don't want to spoil it, but because it is missions-based and you've had so much experience traveling abroad and everything, I would love for you to share it. You guys, it's such an inspirational story, and I really think that you're going to get a lot out of it because it's so applicable to, teachers in the classroom as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So I've been in education for like 29 years. I've lost count at this point. Started in public school system. God bless all of our public school teachers.
Yeah,
it's a good fight. I was definitely one of those teachers that realized I needed the freedom to really lean into my lane and lean into what I thought God had made me to do without a lot of constraints from administration saying this is what it has to look like. And so I moved on to, is my sound okay? Because I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, you're okay with me. Are you guys,
okay.
Let me turn you down just a little bit.
Okay. I just didn't want to be having a bad echo for everybody. So I moved into private education, in private education and administration roles. And a large reason for the decision was obviously my faith is very near and dear to me, but also the privilege to hire teachers and then really take the leash off of teachers and say, you were born for this, lean into your lane and reach the kids in the way that you believe you can reach them. Really just that idea of trusting the teachers in their classrooms, and not that we don't resource and support them and educate them, but also giving you the freedom to say, this child needs this, this child needs this, because that's what you were made to do. And so going into private education, that was a lot of the catalyst for it, is because I really had come to, I don't want to be in education if I feel like my hands are getting tied on really impacting the lives of kids.
Yeah.
This is literally the hardest job, in my opinion, that you can do.
Yeah.
If you are having your hands tied and not being effective.
Totally.
And so for me, leaned into that lane, wanted to really just go, man, let's do whatever it takes to reach kids and to impact kids. But in the private sector, started discovering myself in this space of going, there are a lot of apathetic kids in private education. They're being given this tremendous gift, because I had been teaching in inner city Minneapolis and just had passion and heart for it. Moved into a more affluent community in private education and found myself frustrated by the gift and privilege that was being given to students in this situation that had very little value or appreciation for that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I had gone on a missions trip and this, I think, is the story that you were referring to. So I went on a missions trip to the Philippines. I don't remember how many years ago this has been now. It's been probably 8 to 10 years ago. And I was sitting on the edge of a landfill, and our team had brought lunch in. And this little 4-year-old girl comes out of the landfill barefoot. She had her little collection bag because she was walking the landfill collecting recycling. And she came and sat down, and I ate lunch with her and I played with her. And as she's getting up to walk back into the landfill, it was like I had this sucker punch in the stomach that said, holy smokes, is that it? Like, did I really just travel all the way around the world to feed her one lunch and send her back into a landfill where tomorrow she's going to be collecting recycling to help her family find food? Probably her kids will be collecting recycling to, and it was just like you could see this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I come home and I walk into the private school I was the principal of at that time, and the first group of kids I had ran into were kids that were very, like, they were complaining about their parents that they didn't get the latest upgrade on the newest iPhone. And I had just walked from the Philippines with this little girl, and I was just like, every part of me just wanted to walk away altogether, because I was just like, what is wrong with our world? There's something so wrong with our world. But the understanding that came to me was the idea that who is teaching our kids and enlarging their perspective that with privilege does come responsibility. But how are they ever to know about the little girl in the Philippines in a really real valid way that they can have an impact? And so I, through a very long series of painful events, actually, I ended up walking away from the school I was in and kind of did that soul searching. And if you're a teacher, I think we all come to that point of the soul searching of going, man, I went into this with such good intentions of changing lives, of impacting hearts, and I feel like I'm not making an impact. I feel like I'm not being effective right now. And just did this soul searching, and then took a step back and said, okay, if I could create this school that I believe would equip this next generation to be socially conscious, right? Mindful of whether you live in a very affluent place or not, mindful that we're a global community, that we all have this tremendous ability to impact one another's lives and learn from one another, regardless of where you come. But how do we create that school? And so literally just started, grabbed a couple of people and started brainstorming with them and said, you guys, what if we thought about starting a school? What if we started a really unique school where kids are going to be innovative, where kids are going to be honored for their unique gift and skill set? Because what I know is I was in 5th grade as a kid that was often pulled out for special ed classes, and I had one teacher that grabbed a hold of me and told me I was smart. She was the first person that believed in me, told me I was smart, and she didn't make it easy on me. She didn't go, oh, we're going to lighten this workload for you. She said, come here, we're going to show you how to do this, and really stretch. I mean, one teacher, 1 year of school, I went all the way through to 4th grade saying, I'm bad at education, I'm dumb. And I had one teacher that in 1 year changed the whole thing for me. And so today, like when I went to start Valor, I'm like, what if we created a school where teachers were positioned to really just call out to divine destiny? I believe every kid has purpose. None of them are alike. So we're never going to get there with a really formulaic approach to education.
Mm.
And with technology, there's no reason for us to try to put that cookie cutter box.
Yeah.
What if we pulled it out of the box and said, what does this child need? What are they gifted in? How do we inspire their curiosity? How do we equip them and empower them in a way that they're going to impact their world? Because what I understand is if you don't understand your privilege and understand how you've been divinely, uniquely gifted in every person, and when I say privilege, that's not a socioeconomic thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I believe every person has gifting, every person, but you got to be empowered to add that gifting into the world. And so when we started Valor, it was really with that concept in mind.
So good.
When a family paid tuition to our school, we said, you're going to pay tuition for your child, but you're also going to pay tuition for a child in a developing nation to go to school at the same time. Because we're going to go back to that landfill and we're going to make sure that little girl and all her friends are getting education. Because what we know statistically is if we can equip children to read and children to learn and start, and we're really entrepreneurial in our lane. So we're working with them on businesses and how to coach and train their kids. We understand we will disrupt the poverty and the cycle that's happening in those communities. So what's crazy now, here's the crazy part of the story is 5 years ago, we started our very first brick and mortar campus, Portland, Oregon. A lot, and I say we, because there were so many amazing people, parents, teachers that came on board with me saying, hey, we're going to start a school. We're going to send a bunch of money overseas. I don't have any money to start the school right now, but we're going to, if you want to jump on board this train with us and believe that we're going to really change up our world, sign a contract with me.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know that I can pay your contract all year long, just so you know. I mean, that was literally our first year.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We opened our first year, 153 students in the US, 153 students in Philippines and Haiti. And from there, we've started a campus in South Korea. We've started a campus in Philippines. We've started Valor Global online. And now, as a global community, we're over 1,000 strong. We're about 1,200 globally right now, just 5 years into it, with sponsoring kids on a global scale. So
that is so neat.
But that's what happens when, and it's not just my story. I just want to tell every teacher, honestly, you guys, this is what happens when you lean in your lane. When there is nobody more important in this world, and I believe this with every fiber of my being. There's nobody more important in this world than a teacher, because you're going to say things that will last a lifetime in these kids' psyche. What you say can be remembered for a lifetime. And I've never found my 5th grade teacher to go back and go, oh, by the way, I've designed a school system now because of my 5th grade teacher.
Oh my goodness, that's so powerful. And let's, everybody watching too, I know that you all have that one teacher who impacted your life. So type in the comment your teacher's name. My teacher's name, I have a couple, but Mrs. Berger, when I was in 1st grade, pulled me aside and held me close and whispered a few things in my ear and just empowered me. Angie, you were one of those teachers for me. So I know that what you're saying is so true. And as teachers, I know it's really easy to get tunnel vision or feel like you're really not making an impact. But what you're saying is so, so true. It's so true. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, and it's just this idea that you're planting seeds, and sometimes you don't get to see those seeds come to fruition. The amount of kids, the amount of Elizabeth Callers, right? That how long ago did I have you now? 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
As a teacher, the amount of Elizabeth Callers in this world that you don't know how it's going to go. it's not like at the time they're saying, oh, thank you, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my, usually they're the hardest ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Well, can you speak to the structure of how Valor works a little bit? So like you have the US base, and what does that look like? The virtual side of things, the online side of things. I know a lot of people are virtual now still.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because we have a nonprofit foundation, and the brick and mortar campuses fall under the nonprofit foundation. And then we started a for-profit in the online space. And who knew? We started our online school 2 years. The biggest thing for me in starting the online was I did not want to start something that kids could just log in, click through the work, get the work, where it was all about the content and had nothing to do with the kid, because that's just not the Valor philosophy of education. I think kids have to be known. I think kids have to be seen and heard. And so we very much leaned into, we're going to start this with having kids seen and heard. We cap our classes. We still have small classes, even though we're in a virtual environment. We see them every day. We host live in-person events, as well as, of course, teaching and training on school. And then every kid's assigned an advocate, that we really focus on the whole child. So like, when kids enroll with us, they get a Fitbit and we track their activity. They're getting their goals. We encourage them, when your Fitbit goes off, get away from the computer. We don't care what's going on. It really is, we do social emotional check-ins with the kids to really gauge it. I mean, we all know this as teachers, the decline in emotional wellness in our kids is their mental health is at stake right now. And so that's become really important to us. And it is the teacher. Like, I just can't stress this enough, because I know we get to February and March. I know parents get tough in this part of the season. That was the other thing, that when we started Valor, it was very much this is a partnership. We can't be us without you guys partnering with us. We're on a team. We're all on the same team. And so that's been a very big theme for Valor, is we listen to our parents, because we do think our parents know their kids well. But the parents then are so open and receptive to teacher feedback, because we've listened to them. So it isn't the hostile environment that we often see in the education space, which is hugely concerning, because nobody wins.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. I love, so as a staffer of Valor, I really love the collaboration and community feel with all parties: students, teachers, staff, parents. Also, I wanted to just mention too, Angie, whether I was a student or, part of your staff, I have always felt very empowered by you. You've always set really high expectations and, set the bar really high. And I've always felt just empowered to do my best, to show up. And I feel like you draw out of your staff and your students, and it rolls over into, like, you inspire me to do what you do for me. And there's that like trickle effect, And so with that said, because with the global pandemic and with everything that's going on right now, if you could speak into teachers' lives right now and just breathe a breath of just, fresh inspiration or empowerment, what would you say to them during this time? Because a lot of teachers are in the public sector, and they are, their hands are tied.
And thank you.
Ways. And,
and thank you, because I don't want to in any way diminish the public sector in my conversation. I am so grateful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say? What would you say to educators, just in general, to empower them?
You know what it is? This just if you could step back just a little bit and remember why you went into education, and this was the really big thing for me is I know every person on my staff came into education because they literally wanted to change the world. They literally wanted to impact a life. You literally don't meet altruistic people in or non-altruistic people
Teachers
and
are very
teachers. I think
empathetic.
I think sometimes we get cynical, right? Because it is a tough job and you get beat up, but if I can hearken you back to your original why, because listen, my why is why I get up every single day.
That's good.
It's the today, and I say this on our brick and mortar campus. We had it on the wall. Today, you could say something that is remembered for a lifetime. Make it a powerful, make it a good thing.
That's good.
Don't make it,
really
and I think understanding the power that you possess is so critical. If you can set aside the curriculum, because every kid has divine destiny, every kid has something that if you can lean into and unlock, one of my favorite things is when a kid would come into my office, and they'd be in trouble and they'd be so sure that I was going to discipline them, lecture them, all the things, right? And so they come in my office. Usually I'd get up and come around and sit next to them. And I'd put a piece of paper out on the table and said, you have a blank slate with me. If you got to write what you want me to believe to be true about you,
that's good.
what would you write? So the kid starts going through and they'll identify, I want you to believe, and usually it's the opposite of whatever they're in my office for, right? I want you to believe I'm honest. I want you to believe I'm hardworking. I want you, all the things. I've done that for years. I've never had a kid not put what you would hope for them, right, on a piece of paper. Then I would ask this question and say, okay, so let's talk about your current behavior. Tell me some of the things that happened today. And I don't tell them, I let them tell me. And they always, I lied, I cheated, I did whatever, right? And so I just point back to here's what you want to be true.
That's
Here's
so
what
good.
you want to be true. How do I help you get there?
Yeah, that's good.
How do I encourage you and help you to get there? Because now all of a sudden you have giving you permission to hold them accountable.
That's good.
Hold me accountable. So if I can encourage you, one, remember your why, because that'll be the thing that gets you up in the day. Be so careful about who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because it is really easy to get into the wrong group that all we do is gripe and complain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that'll rob your joy faster than anything you can do. So if you can be really, I'm really intentional in my staff meetings, Elizabeth can speak to this. We start every staff meeting with, give me 4 shout outs of how you're accomplishing mission and something that was great in your class.
Today, one of the things that we did, I loved, was everybody was asked to share something that they feel like is a strength of theirs. And it's easy to know your strengths and your weaknesses, but when you're sitting and listening to other people's strengths, I remember several times as people were sharing, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's actually my weakness and you consider it your strength. So I'm going to pick your brain and collaborate and get better. And there's just that ironing sharpens iron. I think that's so true too about surrounding yourself with, I know there's
everything.
Surrounding yourself with 5 people or the 5 closest people, that you surround yourself with is going to be who you become. And I think that's so important. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. So making sure you have those kind of environments around you. And if you're in a place, the big thing is I something I see a lot is people behaving like victims.
I just lost you. Can you click the link again on Be Live? I just lost you on Be Live. 1 second, guys, on Instagram.
I can see you.
You timed out.
Sourceful of. Okay. Did I reload it? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe reload. Technical difficulty.
Okay, hold on. I think it may be.
Oh, there you are. Okay. There you are. Here she comes. That's okay. I think it timed out at 30 minutes, so.
A little break. Take a break. That's another recommendation.
Take a breather.
No. Yeah, I think if you can figure out how to take your power back, right? Because I think that's really important. I remember being in a job that was not a good fit for me, and really realizing how powerless I felt. And I had to take personal responsibility that I am choosing to come to this job every single day.
That's good.
Right? Nobody's making me show up. I'm choosing this job. And if I don't want to choose this job anymore, I have options. You know, there are a lot of different options. And the reason that's so important is because then I can choose the attitude I'm going to have about that place. I can, you know, it's and the last thing I'll say about this, you know, is obviously remind yourself of your why. But the last thing I'll say is a lot of times as teachers, because we are empathetic, we take things very personally when our students fail or when our parents attack us. And that is the thing that if I can encourage you to put a healthy separation on like at Valor, one of our hopes is we will give you everything in our power to be successful, but at the end of the day, you have to accept personal responsibility and do the work. I can't do the work for you, you know? And so as long as our team has done all we know to do to help you be successful, I don't feel bad if you get an F. I really want you to not get an F, and I'll probably do anything. I will stay up all night with you. To help you not get an F. But at the end of the day, I can't take personal responsibility for your choices or your parents' choices.
Yes, so good.
And so I think being able to separate yourselves, because we carry a really heavy burden for our kids. And that steals your joy. That can steal your joy.
Yeah, I love the activity that you do with students who are coming into your office. I think too can be done with like I could do that as a staff person. Like I want to write down and kind of just have an attitude check for myself. I want to write down who I want to be known as and kind of harken back to my why.
100%.
And actually that would be a great practice for those watching. Just I'm going to do it tonight. Write down my why. Write down why I became an educator, what impact I wanted to have. Go back to my, you know, the times in my life when educators impacted my life and how that changed the trajectory of my life. And then just have a little attitude check, like, you know, check in with yourself. How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing physically? Am I taking care of myself? Am I investing in myself so that when I come to my job, I'm fully charged and I'm able to, you know, bring my best self, the best version of myself. I think that's really good. So Angie, first of all, thank you so much for coming tonight. I so appreciate you.
It's so fun hanging out with you.
Oh my goodness, you are one of my favorite people. You impacted me so much as a young person, and I feel so lucky to be on the team at Valor and just to rub shoulders with you and learn from you. Genuinely.
Well, and we were talking about this. It's so fun for me to learn from you now. All of your tech and all of your, I'm like, you're brilliant. So it's been fun to learn from you. And it's like, honestly, you guys, if you haven't heard it today, there's literally nobody more important in this world than teachers. I mean, you guys are the heartbeat, and I know your job is so thankless, but I'm here to tell you that you literally are raising up nation leaders. You are raising up, and usually it's the hardest ones in your class because leaders never conform. They're always the ones that are, you know, so if I could just encourage your heart that you're seeing what you do matters, the fact that you're still in the game, showing up this year is so impressive. And if nobody's thanked you today, thank you for doing that, because our world needs you. And remind yourself of your victories, because we're really good at talking about our failures or the negative comments or the families. Remind yourself of your successes. That's so important.
So good. So good. Oh my goodness. I'm going to like go back and listen to this because there's so many good nuggets along the way. Angie, I went ahead and threw in your Instagram and Facebook links for those of you who guys are watching. I'll come back on Instagram and throw her social media links on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I'm going to have you on again in the future because you just have so much to add, and I just love your perspective. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining, and we will.
Thank you. So fun being with you guys.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.